I got this one going.
Okay. All right. Hanging out with Brad Boynton. Brad, all right. One of the big parts of the project is we're going to talk about the Penn Way.
Sure.
All right, Coach Giesman, Dr. Spiker, they get back in the beginning when they started this wonderful endeavor, and they developed this mindset, this mantra, this culture of creating the Penn Way.
Mm-hmm.
It's been affected by generations of people in every aspect of the school corporation. So for you as a player and as a kid growing up in this community, what is the Penn Way mean to you?
Well, I tell you what, originally I moved to the area in the 5th grade. So I came actually from Benton Harbor, Michigan. Okay, a little rough. Then I moved to South Bend, and my 5th grade year moved out to the Penn schools, and didn't know a lot. Matt Giesman, Matt the same class as I. We were kind of competitors. He was Bittersweet, I was Elsie Rogers. So our first meeting amongst each other was in a basketball game. And it was our 6th grade year, and believe it or not, we both got thrown out of the game. We go up for a rebound, and we get tangled up. He comes up all, huff and puff, and I did the same thing. And before you know it, we're both thrown out of the game. So we knew we had it at that point. So then, we go to school together at Schmucker, and then I was just, I was surrounded around football, being good friends with Matt ever since. And I'd be over at Coach's house all the time, hanging out with Matt, and just the dedication that this coaching staff throughout the years has put together is just unbelievable. A lot of the haters in the area that aren't Penn fans will say, what makes Penn, sure, they have the numbers. Yeah, absolutely, they have the numbers, which is an absolute bonus. But you have to have the dedication of the coaching staff. I mean, these guys don't do it for the money. I mean, there's no question about it. They would probably, it'd be less than a penny an hour if you divided it out. And that's the Penn Way. I mean, that's, the kids are not the fastest, they're not the most talented by any means, but they put the work in. And that whether that's the weight room, the speed and conditioning, whatever it is, they're there to do it. And to me, that's the Penn Way. I mean, they just they work their tail off. We're always going against bigger, faster, stronger teams, but the coaches know the opposing play before they typically even run it. I mean, and the kids study the film. The coaches just do a tremendous job.
Subsequently, now you find yourself as a dad of a son who's a member of the current Penn football program. So your eyes are looking at Penn football in a completely different direction than it was when you were looking as a player. So I want you to put your dad hat on, and as a part-time coach, what's it like looking at Penn football from different eyes?
Well, Penn football has always thrived on its upperclassmen. I mean, whether it was Coach Giesman, Coach Yeoman, they say to the senior class, this is your team. How do you want to be known leaving? Do you want to be known as the 500 team? And I think as a father graduating from Penn, I understand that. I have a son who's a junior now currently, and he gets frustrated because he doesn't feel sometimes as if he's getting some of the opportunities that he should. And I just tell him, Brock, you just have to be patient. You have to, keep working every day as hard as you can work, and the opportunities will come. You have to be there when that door is going to open. And, it's so true for so many other guys. I mean, very few players, at Penn start as sophomores. Just very rarely happens. We've had a half a dozen over the years, and typically they're monstrous linemen or something like that. Your skilled guys, typically it takes a while to grow into it, and that's completely understandable. If you want to go and play at the varsity level, as an underclassman, freshman, sophomore, odds are you probably better go to a different school in the area.
All right, once again, let's go backwards and talk about that spectacular senior season. I mean, there's not There's only a few amount of kids that get a chance to walk off the field being a champion. Unique situation. So I want to talk about the journey of your senior season, which is similar to Matt's story, because Matt was kind of a rough start in the jamboree, and it's been well documented and has been documented on our film on how difficult it was for him. Coaching staff really kind of reminded Geese, hey, listen, you need to stick with the guy. But you were a key component in this 95 run. So talk about the 95 season, and as you look back on it now, as an adult, what do you recall the most? And what's your favorite moment?
I'll tell you, that was quite a year. You know, we had a lot of guys that were quote unquote starters before the season starts. You know, that can go out the window in a matter of a second, which it did for us. You know, we had a lot of guys that played multiple sports, so we just didn't have quite that team unity yet, you know, because everybody's busy in the summers doing other things and whatnot. So we start off with two-a-days, and at the time I remember picking up Matt one morning and went in the house. Usually he's ready for me, you know, I don't have to get out of the car or whatever. I go in the house, I said, "You ready, bud? What's going on?" "It's not a good day." I said, "Not a good day?" He says, "Yeah, Dad's kicking the seniors off the team." Kind of stepped back for a second. "What do you mean? You know, we're getting kicked off the team." "Yeah, last couple days there's been some upperclassmen bullying the underclassmen." I said, "Okay." So sure enough, we show up. All the seniors get called in the classroom. Coach says what he has to say. It's not real good. He had gotten a couple phone calls the night before from a player or two, underclassmen, I believe they were sophomores. And he pulled them in and he said, "Boys," he goes, "you know my philosophy, and that is everybody out here, starter, non-starter, third string, fourth string, you treat them as if they're your brother. And we're not doing that right now. So until you guys are able to go get these two kids back on here that need to be out here, I don't want you guys out here as a senior class." So we're scrambling. I mean, there's only a handful of us that drive. There's only a handful of us that have cars. So if you can only imagine, you know, I think that class we had roughly 20, 25 seniors. I mean, we've got 5 and 6 guys piling in little cars, you know, and we wouldn't be very successful today because you can't go anywhere and get a phone book, right? I mean, no gas stations have payphones, let alone a phone book. So we run down to the gas station there on Jefferson across from Ann General, and we ask for their phone book. We're looking up these kids, you know, the offensive guys don't know what's going on. The defensive guys have a pretty good sense of what's going on. The offensive guys had no clue who was even missing, the two guys that were missing. So anyways, we find the address, we start calling, we get no answers. So now we decide we need to go to the houses. And either way, we were able to get these kids. We tracked them down, they were together. We were able to convince them, talk to them, "Come on back, guys." You know, parents weren't real thrilled about it. We got them back. So we lost an entire day, the senior class lost an entire day of two-a-days. And Coach said, you know, if you guys are able to get them back, we'll talk. Well, that night they talked to Coach Giesman and said, "We'll come back." So to say the least, things started off a little rough that year. And Matt, our quarterback, yeah, he had really worked his tail off. I mean, Coach was always, you know, you always hear, you know, the coach's kid gets favored. Well, I can tell you firsthand that was furthest from the truth. I mean, Coach rode Matt like nobody's business, and he knew that there was an awful lot of pressure on him to play favoritism or anything like that. So he was always on Matt. Matt really worked hard the previous 2 years to prove himself that he deserved to be out there, and he did. He did a real nice job. We go into at that point we did away with the jamboree, so we go into the scrimmage, and we're scrimmage over in Maryville. And I had played tight end in the middle school seasons and my freshman year, but then my sophomore year I got bumped to wide receiver. So I played wide receiver my entire sophomore and junior year. And unfortunately, in that scrimmage, Adam Ryle tore his ACL in the scrimmage, and we were just all devastated. I mean, you know, the senior class was a very tight group. We were devastated. We knew it was bad, didn't get the word till Saturday. We go in for bumps and bruises. Coach comes in and says, Brad, do you think that you could go back to tight end? Sure, Coach, whatever's best for the team. You know, whatever's best. We had a lot of chemistry, the quarterbacks, the wide receivers, just in timing and stuff, but that's something we had to do. It's a funny story. Coach Wagner, Chuck Wagner, he just, God dang it, we got to put Boynton over here. He can't block. He hadn't blocked. He doesn't know the schemes. Just shredding me. Shredding me. But the funny part about it is, when I talk about what our coaches do and breaking down film and stuff, I kid you not, the first 7 games of the regular season, if we were going to run the ball to the right, they'd line me up on the left end. If we were going to run the ball to the left, they'd line me up on the right end. 7 weeks before I had any play side blocking, you know, we're still running pass routes. That didn't slow anything down, but the Penn coaching staff, they would pick up on that in about the second quarter. It wouldn't take 7-8 games. It would be done in the second quarter, that if the kid's moving from one side to the next, they know where the ball's going. But either way, you know, so we ran the table, regular season. Sectionals was a lot of fun. Our toughest sectional game there, I believe, was against Mishawaka, 17-0, I think it was. Then here it goes. You know, we're going to play almighty Portage at the time, and I think they were a top 10 team in the USA Today. Full of talent, skilled players all over the place, just ridiculous amounts of speed. And I believe it was Jimtown and Bremen were playing for their regional, and bad weather came in that Friday night. Someone unfortunately got struck by lightning, I believe, so they canceled all the games in the area. So overnight, the rain turned to snow, and so Portage was really upset. They have to go home. We get, you know, they bumped the game to 1:30, so Portage gets home late. You know, now they got to turn around, come back here. Now the fields are sopping wet, and now we've got several inches of snow on the ground. We scheduled a team meeting over at what used to be the Penn Den, which is now Wings. And I actually had a good buddy of mine in town who had already graduated, and so we did our breakfast. I think we had to meet back at the school at 11:30 or noon for meetings. Game was supposed to start at 1:30, and so we finished up with breakfast. And my buddy Greg, can you run me over to Elkhart? I got to cash a paycheck. Sure. So we leave the Penn Den. We don't even get to County Line. And the roads are pretty nasty. They're slick. Got a car coming head at us, sideways. What do? We hit this tree, or do we take the car? And we're in a pickup truck. Still, Greg, I said, you brace yourself. The car hits us. Thankfully, we were higher than the car. Car didn't make out so well. This is now 10:30 or so. Ambulance comes, takes us to the hospital. You know, little woozy, you know, have a concussion, whatever, but, you know, Greg broke his arm, and the other driver didn't fare so well. So coach gets a phone call. I'm at the hospital, and you know, can he play? No, he shouldn't play. I said, I'm playing. I have to play. So either way, you know, I get in the locker room right as the guys come in from pregame. I'm in the locker room, and it's dead silent. Just dead silent. They had heard what had happened, and you know, games back and forth. Finally, we pull ahead, couple turnovers they had. We ended up squeaking them out. I think we won by 10, 14 points, something like that. But quite a day. You know, I got knocked out of the game late in the fourth quarter. 2 concussions in one day. I guess not a very good day. But anyways, so we go on to Carmel, SemiState. Mighty Carmel comes up here, and it is cold. It is cold. Not quite as cold as the sectional finals. We were over at Michigan City for the sectional finals, and I think it was about 0 degrees that day. The ground was frozen. it was really cool. But Friday night, SemiState, Carmel comes to us. And, you know, of course, everybody from the South's writing us off, you know, Carmel this, Carmel that. So we end up beating Carmel and SemiState. Great game, but we end up beating them. Going to the state finals, you know, coach goes down for the meetings like, you know, they all do on Mondays. Comes back, well, guys, they've got us projected to lose by 4 or 5 touchdowns. You know, they've got the almighty Deke Cooper, you know, goes to Notre Dame, goes on and plays some NFL ball. Heck of an athlete, but I'll tell you what, you know, at this point in the season, our guys, we don't know any better. I mean, you know, we're going to be the underdog. What are you going to do? You know, what are you going to do? Corey and the defensive staff just put together an unbelievable game plan. I mean, they had 4 or 5 guys on Deke and his running back. They couldn't get anything. And probably the most hilarious thing I remember about that game, and Coach Bear, whenever I see him, we still get a chuckle out of it. At halftime of the state final, you know, they interview each coaches and ask them what their thoughts are. And Evansville's coach, you know, he goes, well, I think they got lucky and, you know, some things bounced their way, but we'll find out who the more talented team is in the second half. And I remember Jocelyn Goodman just had a whale of a game. That, I mean, he had a couple interceptions, touchdown catch, and then you know, we end it. Matt gets the mental attitude award. It was just it was a bittersweet end to your you know, football career for most of us. You know, we went on, some went on and played other sports, some that was it. But for the ones that didn't go on and play football at the next level, I mean, there's no greater way to end it than holding up that championship, you know, with your buddies that you've been playing ball with for many years, and the coaching staff. And, you know, I know as much as Coach Gies, you know, enjoyed that, I also know it was a bit of relief because he has his son out there as a quarterback, and, you know, there's a lot of naysayers saying, it's not the right guy, but Matt did a fabulous job. But that was a great group of guys to play with.
Right, final question. Funniest Penn moment and your favorite Penn moment?
Okay. On the field or off the field?
Either one.
Okay. I've got
a couple minutes here.
Got 2. So off the field, one night, you know, Coach T. Garden's coming over from Memorial. Coach Sharp's coming over from Jimtown. I mean, these guys would get together and just, you know, this is during football season. Well, they weren't over yet. And I remember Matt and I were getting ready to go out, you know, with our girlfriends or whatever. And we were hungry beforehand, so Mrs. Giesman comes down. Chris, I'm gonna order some food. Okay, you know, I'll take pizza, you know, large pizza, salad, 2-liter Coke. Matt looks at me and says, yeah, that sounds good. Coach Gies looks at us, boys, that's mine. What, you order for yourselves. So that was pretty comical. But my sophomore year, my funniest memory would be Scott Dreisbach was a quarterback. I mean, very talented, very talented. That team was a very talented team. And I'm starting to work my way into the rotation a little bit, wide receiver. You know, pretty nervous, a little scrawny, you know, guy, getting a little bit of playing time at the varsity level. And play didn't go so well. The play before, I'm getting ready, you know, I'm going up to coach. He always would dream us wide receiver. If I have to look for you, it's not going to be good. Okay, so I'm next in line, and I'm close, but not too close. Well, there wasn't a very good play, the previous play, and coach just, he loses it. He throws the clipboard, turns around. I mean, probably the hardest I got hit my whole sophomore year. I go flying. It's coach, and he's bumping me all over the field. So, but that was pretty comical. I still get razzed about getting knocked down by Coach Giesman out of the game. So.
Awesome. Good stuff, man. Awesome. You did good, bud.
All right.